Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and this podcast is inspired by a Quincy Jones quote, "Imagine what a harmonious world it would be if everyone shared a little of what they're good at." Here on Harmonious World, I chat with musicians and those with an interest in music to get them to share what they are good at. My past guests include Grammy winners, Grammy nominees, and those just starting out on their musical journey. Everyone has got something to contribute to making this a more harmonious world. Alongside Harmonious World, you can find my reviews of albums and live gigs. The links are all in the show notes. For this episode, I'm delighted to be joined by celebrated Danish saxophonist and composer Cecilie Strange. Her album Beech, her fifth one as a leader, is out at the end of May. And it's a really contemplative suite, 6 pieces that represent different parts of Cecilie's musical journey. What you're listening to now is Walking on Grand Street. And this track is influenced by Cecilie's travels to New York, where she's taken lessons with people and developed her own playing style. I hope you enjoy listening to my conversation with Cecilie Strange.
Hello.
Hey, Cecilie.
Hi, Hilary.
Hey, it's really nice to meet you.
You too.
Oh, well, thank you for agreeing to this conversation.
Thank you for the invitation.
So, welcome to Harmonious World. You're in Denmark. Are you in Copenhagen?
Yes, that's correct.
Fantastic. I've been there a couple of times in the last few years. It's just an amazing city.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad to hear that. I
Yeah.
also find it really nice to live here.
Yeah. So many different sort of cultural things going on, and it's just a lovely place and great people.
Thanks. I'm glad. I also enjoy it.
Yeah.
Where you?
About 30 miles north of London in Hertfordshire.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice. Thank you for joining me to talk about Beech, which is out at the end of the month.
Yes.
So this was recorded a couple of years ago. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So tell me about how you, first of all, composed the pieces, because they're all written by you, right?
Yes. Well, it's this last piece, Beech, is the final piece for tetralogy. So they kind of, connected all those 4 albums, which Beech is the final piece. And 3 years ago, in June, I was in the northern part of Norway composing music for my upcoming album, which were recorded in August 2022. And it was still my band, Peter Rosendal, Tommy Andersen, and Jakob Høyer, but I was inviting Josefine Kronholm, the vocalist and percussion player, to join. And then we had so much music, and then we just had one day in the studio actually, but it ended up being a lot of music. So I took like the pieces that make sense for the Beyond album and put that for release 2 years ago. And then I had so much music also that I wanted to release with the same band. So that is like what's on Beech actually. That is the final tunes for that recording. So the last piece of the album, Skrova Fyr, is a name of a lighthouse in the northern part of Norway where I was on a small island.
Ah.
And it was a magical place. maybe you could like picture it. It was midnight sun, and yeah, I was at a yes this very very small island where there's only like a artist in resident house that you can apply for to live there and compose. And then there was a caretaker, and that was it. So it was just me and this caretaker person, and just the birds and the sea, and it was so small that you could actually it would take like I don't know 30 seconds to just go from the one side to the other. So you could imagine it was really small. So and you had to go by a boat. I had to take three planes, one ferry, and one boat to
Wow.
go to this place. Where the caretaker like he brought me from the ferry and the last part of the journey in his boat, and then you climb up of the stones of the hill of the rock, so to say, and then he will take the boat and yeah low that yeah put it on a plateau, and he has to do that every time he's going from the island. Has to like put the boat down in the sea and then go and grocery shop and then go
Wow.
back and then put the boat back on the plateau. So it's quite a extraordinary thing to just taking part of for a short time, and to see that okay, this is he lives here, and this is his life. And he was so welcoming, and we had to stay there for I was there for 4 days. So there was just a long story about how yeah the setting was for me to compose, which was really beautiful, and yeah, the sun that never went down because it was shining all day
Yeah.
and all night long.
Yeah. And it's lovely that that's the final piece on the final suite of
Yes.
these 4 pieces. So that's it sounds an amazing place to be just for a few days.
Yes, it was really. My husband and I used to live in Norway for some time, and we went to Lofoten before with some friends just traveling around. So we knew the place, the area from before, and it was really breathtaking. So it was amazing to go back again. But this was, of course, completely different because then I had to go outside and stay on a small island. Yeah, but it's a beautiful part of Norway, and it's funny that you mentioned that it's kind of has a meaning being the last piece, because it was actually just by coincidence, because the pieces on this Beech record is actually in like chronologically, yeah, from my like where I was born, where I grew up, and from places that's formed and inspired me. So and Norway being the last place
Yeah.
that
Well,
we actually lived, which is Grovafjord, also is a symbol of Norway in general. So, but it's a nice. I'm glad that you also saw another meaning of yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna play a part of that piece
Yeah.
now. So can you pronounce the title for me?
Yes. Skrovafjord.
That's that small island.
Yes, that's the name of the lighthouse. The island is called it's called kind of Skrova, but it's also called Saltværsøya, and øya meaning island on Norwegian.
Right.
So I also made a piece on the Beyond album called Midnight Sun upon Saltværsøya. But it seemed like you could call it either Saltværsøya or Skrova. And Fyr means lighthouse.
Ah, right. Okay. Do you think there's something significant about the fact that you're living in a place, composing, getting your thoughts together about this place and how they're going to inspire your music in a place where it's sort of light that's sort of saving people from the rocks, and there's something about that in that music.
Yeah, I also think it was just before talking to you, I was talking to another jazz fuel person sitting in Portugal. And he was like also saying something about that the last piece has a combination of like it's romantic, but it's also dramatic. It was just some pictures
Yeah.
he popped up in his head, and for me, I also it's yeah, it's like you say, it's like the scenery of being out on the open sea and just outside the cliff. There's just water. It's just sea, and sometimes you will see enormous whales around that area too. So it is like in the yeah, how to say that in the nature can be also kind of rough there, and Lofoten is known for having rocks that is like very pointy in the top because of
Right.
the water, being so strong.
Ah, right. Yes.
So
Yeah.
you were kind of outside on the very west coast of Norway, and in the top no, on the northern part, north from the polar circle, and then the sea seems to be really rough. So it has like that kind of feeling in it too.
Yeah.
I also remember when I wrote the tune that I was sitting there and like, okay, yeah, thinking about what kind of place I was, you know, being part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a composer and a saxophonist. So can you tell my listeners a little bit about your background? So obviously your background is what inspired this suite, but you know, how did you pick up the saxophone? How did you get into music in the first place?
Well, I grew up in a musical home. My father was a classical guitar player, and my mother used to sing a lot also in the more classical genre. She's been singing in a classical choir for 40 years or something. So, and they used to also do concerts together. Sometimes the two of them had a duo. Music was very present in my childhood, and from an early age, I just remember that I wanted to play and explore and sing and do a lot of music. So I remember when I was in school, in a very young age, I was playing classical piano, I was playing the recorder, I was doing different things. I was singing in a choir. At some point, I started to sing like solo vocal, and at the same time, I was also I did a lot of sport as well. So I played a lot of handball and football and stuff. So, but the music was very present. And so at some point, there was an opportunity to try the saxophone in the local music school when I was 12. And because that I was, already doing so many things, I didn't really think about it. Uh, but my father was like very eager, like maybe you should try it out, and you can just you could just try it one time or and see what you feel like. And then I just okay, I agreed to go and try it out. And I remember coming home and being like overwhelmed by that instrument. And he also recalled that he said that you had like your eyes were sparkling when you came home from that first lesson. So it was kind of okay, this is for me. I really enjoy it. So and then I never left that instrument from that time. So I just kept on learning, and I just remember coming home and okay, how can you do this? How can you do this? And I was just like so many questions about how can I find this sound and how can I explore this technique? And so I was very curious on the instrument, I remember. So yeah, and then yeah, I started to go to the music academy later on, and
Yeah, and at some point you found yourself in New York having private saxophone lessons.
yes, exactly. And then yeah, it was also kind of a yeah. There's a piece on the album. It's called "Walking on Grand Street" because I was living at Grand Street for some time, for 4 months, and taking private lessons. And the weird thing was that I remember before I went there, I was going before I went there on my own. Sorry, I was going with some friends to participate in a. It was called a saxophone weekend at Berkeley.
Ah, right.
So we were like gathering 75 young saxophone players from all over the world, having lessons with Jerry Guncy and Bill Pierce, and it was really, really amazing for me because I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
this is mind blowing." Um, and I was sitting in the plane. I just remember on the way over there for the very first time, and I just had this like strong, strong feeling about this is just the beginning. I'm not done with this yet, and I hadn't even been there. It was just
Wow.
there were like a very strong magnetic force that I knew that I wanted to go back already because at that time I was not even beginning to study music in Denmark, but I
Right.
was about to because I got accepted at this music academy school, so I knew that after the summer holiday I will begin. Um, so that was the first feeling, and then I later on I took some. I was on a winter jazz camp with the music academy, and I had some lessons with the Danish guitar player called Jakob Bro. And he just said to me at some point, "Oh, I think you should. I think maybe it would be good for you to have some lessons with Chris Cheek." And I
Right.
said, "I yes, I have the same feeling," because I was like a big fan of him. And all of a sudden, I found myself on the way to New York and had a very, very yeah, some amazing lessons with him.
Wow. Yeah.
Mm.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really nice. And also, I also had lessons with Chris Potter, George Casson, Bill McHenry, Rajesh Mahantapa. So it was different, but I had Chris Teague. I was like every week I was going to him for
Right.
2 or 3 hours every week just to.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it was kind of a very special thing for me. And just going out every night to hear different concerts all over the city because there was so many, so,
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
amazing concerts every night.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So when did you realize that you wanted to be a composer as well? So not just a player, but you actually wanted to compose pieces as well?
Yes, there is actually like two funny stories to tell about that. Uh, the first one being that I started the music academy in 2006 in here in Odense in Denmark. Um, at that time, they had like a general rhythmic jazz department, and I really really loved that teacher they had, Hans Ulrik. I wanted to take lessons with him, but it was also a very they had a big focus on jazz in general in that music academy. So I was like very like, okay, this is the place. And during the first year, they introduced um, a new kind of structure for the education that we will be the first ones to get this kind of composer master, got the opportunity to apply for a composer master, or a master in composition, but also in your main instrument. So it would be like a equally divided composition and for me saxophone. And I was like, this is amazing. And you could have you could have lessons with both classical and rhythmic teachers in composition, which was very unique because I just remember that when I was in New York, I was like thinking about where should I apply for master because I was there after my bachelor and I didn't see anything anything that had the same structure like classical and rhythmic composition.
Yeah.
So for me, it was really amazing. So I just remember sitting there and I was like 21 and I just heard about this and I was like, I really want to go on that master. That sounds amazing. And then I applied for it and luckily I got in and I had amazing time there. And then I was on my first year and then I went to graduation in my old primary school. I had a 10-year anniversary and then our teacher from back then, she said, do you remember when all of you, you had to write, what do you think you're gonna do for a living in 10 years from now? And she actually wrote it, she told us everyone in the room, all my old classmates, and on my it said composer.
Wow.
Composer and pianist, because I was playing piano at the time. But then I was like, where did that come from? Because
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was a thing for me already back then when I was 11.
Wow.
But it was apparently something.
Yeah.
So and I also remember when I was in we have some it's called it's translated to boarding school, but it's not the same boarding school like it's like
Okay.
yeah you can it's more like you go for 1 year after you graduated primary school
Okay.
and then you can really go into a certain interest. So I went
Okay.
to like a music boarding school, so I had music all the time,
Right.
which were amazing. But I remember being there and having the like, oh, I wanted to get something out on, I could sing all the melodies and stuff, but I didn't know how to like write it down and get it out of my head and my body. But I just remember that feeling. So when I started the academy and I learned about notes and sheets and forms and chords, and it was just like relieving to like, oh, okay, now I can find a way to express
Yeah.
myself. So I think that it's been, going on inside of me longer than I realized.
Yeah. Yeah. But now you're able to express it. And
Yes,
and so obviously Beech is this sort of the final of this particular group, but I suspect there's more coming, is there?
there is, and I'm going actually on 2 weeks. I'm going to record a new album actually.
Oh, fantastic. Where are you going to
Yes,
record that?
it's in the same studio as the previous one, which is a really nice studio in here in Copenhagen. But then I decided to try to also you try a new sound with some new musicians. So I'm it's gonna feature the American bass player Thomas Morgan,
Oh, yeah.
which I'm really thrilled about and looking
Yes.
forward to. And and my regular pianist Peter Rosendal is also joining that piece. And then because of some sickness, we don't know exactly who's gonna play the percussion, but I think there's gonna be a
Lovely.
percussionist, yeah, featuring. So that's really exciting. And but
Yeah.
I'm still gonna tour with my regular band. But this is
Right.
just something I really needed to
Yeah.
do as well.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's nice, isn't it? You're able to write and put and then record different stuff and then just keep going back to the stuff that it's your kind of strengths, or it's that's what's nice about music. And I love the fact that your music feels like it sits in that space between jazz and modern classical music, and it sort of has bits of both, which I really like. I love that.
Oh, that's nice.
So when are you going to come to the UK with this?
Actually, I'm playing, let's see, in September. Let's see, I'm playing Pizza Express on the 25th.
Fantastic.
Yes. And then we're playing it's called Tim's or something in Southampton the next day.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Well, I will try to get along to the Pizza Express gig because that'd be really nice. I'd love
Oh,
to
that
see.
would be
Yeah.
so nice if you came.
Yeah. Fantastic. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a real pleasure talking to you, Cecilie.
Yeah, you too. You too.
I hope you enjoyed listening to that conversation with Cecilie Strange. What you're listening to now is Copenhagen, a Love Story, which is part of Beech, the suite that is on Cecilie's latest album. And this track is really about Cecilie's love for the city of Copenhagen, which I absolutely get. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. Please remember that you can find reviews of albums and live gigs. All the links are in the show notes. Please get in touch with any comments you might have. Share this episode or any others that you listen to. I've had more than 250 guests, some of whom have come on 2 or 3 times. But until the next episode, I hope you have a really, really good week. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and it's a great delight to bring this series of discussions with musicians and composers and writers and all sorts of people to you. Obviously, there's no point in having a podcast if people aren't listening, and I'm very grateful to my listeners for doing so. Thanks also to Joe English for composing and performing this new theme tune. So wherever you get your podcast, you can leave a review. You can share this with your friends and family, either as a link or on social media and that sort of thing. I'd be really grateful for that. Don't forget that you can subscribe now. There's a link wherever you get your podcasts. So have a great week, and please remember why I started this, which is just to try and make the world a little more harmonious. Thanks for listening to Harmonious World.